Hello and welcome to Transfermarkt TV. I'm Manuel. He's Stefan Bienkowski, and today's topic is Jude Bellingham, the Real Madrid striker who can't stop scoring. Stefan, his stats this season have been unbelievable. And no, he's not a striker, of course. He's a midfielder. But he is the midfielder, and I dug the stat up yesterday in our Transfermarkt database. So bear with me. He is the midfielder. 11 goal contributions are the most of any non-attacking player across all competitions for a team in Europe's top 15 leagues this season. So attacking players are wingers, strikers, basically. He's listed as a central midfielder in our database. So, Stefan, that's just remarkable. He's essentially become the Karim Benzema replacement without being the Karim Benzema replacement.
Yeah, he has. I think you've probably hit the nail on the head there. And he's maybe more of a Benzema replacement in more ways than one, to be honest with you. I'm sure most of our viewers will know that Benzema obviously moved on after being Real Madrid's talisman for a number of years. And I think what's probably really important to remember with Benzema was that not only was he a great goal scorer, but he was also a very good facilitator of goals in that Real Madrid system. Typically he would have Vinicius Jr. on one side, Rodrigo on the other, and they'd play off them really well. And in many ways, Benzema would obviously drop deep, especially obviously as he got older, to kind of set those players up as well. And, whether it's by design or just a coincidence, that is kind of a role that Bellingham has kind of slotted into. The club did pick up Joselu, of course, the striker who, he has 4 goals to his name this season, so he certainly isn't doing bad, but he wasn't signed as the kind of long-term replacement there. And as such, Bellingham has kind of drifted forward and kind of instead kind of taken up that role that Benzema had, where he plays off Vinicius Jr., he plays off Rodrigo. And as a result, goals have just been flying in. And I've also got some incredible stats for you as well, actually. So according to Opta, Bellingham is 14th for successful dribbles, which I think really sums up, 14th, amongst all players in the top 5 European leagues. So I think that's a really important stat, which I'll get to in a moment. But the other ones that are probably more notable for his goal score right now is he's 11th in the top 5 leagues for shots on target, and he's 8th for total goals. So he's obviously getting into the box, he's obviously getting on the ball, and he's showing that he's incredibly impressive at sticking the ball in the back of the net, Manu.
And he does it at crucial moments as well, which I think is really striking, right? He scored that 94th minute winner against Union Berlin on Champions League match day 1. He scored a really big goal against Napoli. It wasn't the winner, but, nonetheless, it was at the time when Napoli were pressing 2-1. He made it, and in the end, of course, Real Madrid won 3-2. He picked up an assist on the 1-1 as well. So, he's not just scoring big goals, but he's also picking up big assists. So it's just that all-around play. And I mean, it's interesting that that's maybe actually something that he was criticized early on in his Dortmund career, that, yeah, it's all very impressive. He really is a dynamic force for this team, but doesn't score many goals. And, I actually have to admit, I was one of those people that criticized him for that. And he's really turned it on. And I think that makes him almost the most complete midfielder in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that was something that maybe held him back at times at Dortmund from being a more attacking threat, because he was so good at everything. Dortmund just let him do everything in midfield, and that often meant he was back in his own box, making tackles, interceptions, clearances, and the likes, as well as obviously trying to get up the pitch to the other end of the box. But what's really quite interesting is if you actually look at his development over the course of his 3 seasons at Dortmund, you can see a clear kind of move towards, an eye for goal, or a more kind of what we refer to as a number 10 rather as a number 6 or number 8. The stats that I think are quite telling, and I'll obviously put this up for viewers to see right now, but if you actually look at his key passes, which is a pass that leads to a shot, they go up briefly from his first season to second season, but they definitely begin to peter out. They level out in his 3rd season. But what really kind of goes through the roof are, shots on target, jump up, and, obviously that's going to be through the roof compared to last season in terms of what he's doing this season at Real Madrid. But what's even more notable, almost exponentially, is the amount of successful dribbles he completes. Over the course of those 3 years at Dortmund, he became more and more and more confident on the ball. He was happy taking the ball from deep and just running with it, driving it up the pitch, almost like a winger in the middle of the park, really. And of course, people, when they think of Bellingham, they probably think of his close control, the way he's able to pull away from players. I think that's probably one of his key attributes, and it means you can really play him anywhere. But if you do play him in the centre of the pitch and you don't maybe have a clear striker in front of him, and there's actually space perhaps in front of him, which has obviously probably been created from runs from Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr., he is just going to take the ball and just drive down the middle of the park. And I think that's probably what we've seen a lot of this season at Real Madrid, and clearly what he was doing more and more of at Dortmund.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I mean, you already touched on that formation. The Napoli formation is maybe the most indicative, right? Where he sits on that number 10 position, but the two players in front of him are not strikers. So, where's he going to go? He has to go into that space. And I guess with him having sort of the freedom to be more creative in the final third, that's how you get this goal productivity. And there is really no sign that this is going to slow down any moment soon. And you know what? Maybe let's wrap this up with this thought. But if Bellingham becomes this kind of goal-scoring, attacking midfielder, what's really going to stop him from winning a Ballon d'Or sooner rather than later?
Oh, I think he's probably they may already be chiseling his name into future trophies. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He's in the perfect team. He's in the perfect structure. It's also worth pointing out here that what he has at Real Madrid, which he maybe didn't have at Dortmund, was, world-class central midfielders 10 or 15 yards behind him who can stick the ball at his feet when he makes those runs, So he's probably well aware of the fact that he can make these runs, get in the box, score goals quite easily with the likes of Modric or Camavinga or Tchouaméni, Valverde behind him. But you're absolutely right. Goals tend to kind of steal the headline. And if he does kind of continue developing into this kind of all-conquering number 10, then it's not very hard to see him kind of dominating that kind of discussion going forward.
Yeah, but Jude Bellingham Ballon d'Or winner 2024, you heard it here first. We'll be back soon with more content. In the meantime, check out, Stefan, you have a great stats piece on Bellingham. I had him in my Champions League roundup that I do every Tuesday and Wednesday, so there's some interesting stats on Bellingham in there as well. So go check it out on Transfermarkt. We'll be back soon with more content. Until then, cheers and bye-bye.